Oh my God. So the Denver Nuggets just came back down from 3-1 to eliminate the LA Clippers. Probably the most favored team to win the NBA Finals. And the Denver Nuggets came back and whooped them. I mean, they whooped them. Big credit to Denver because holy shit, you are the definition of a Cinderella team this year. And I absolutely love watching your team. I didn't have a lot of faith in you to beat LA. If I'm being honest with you, LA was my pick to win the NBA Finals. I had so much confidence in the Clippers. Similar to the Bucks, ever since they entered the bubble, they just haven't looked the same. You saw early flashes of that against Dallas where Luka just absolutely had his way with them. But when they end up facing Denver, oh my God, what happened? The Clippers they fail again. This felt like the Houston series back in 2015. So Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, they combined for, I think, 20 points, something ridiculous like that, in an elimination game where they were up 3-1. And their shooting splits between the two of them were awful. I'm a guy who put Kawhi Leonard as the best player in basketball, and that's not true anymore. I can't say that. It's LeBron James. And Kawhi could have stayed in Toronto. Him being there, he would have ran the East for a long time. But he made his choice. Both of these guys did this to themselves, and you cannot make any excuses for either of them. They both got their way out of their old teams with Kawhi in San Antonio and Paul George in Indiana. They both forced their way out, got traded to a team where they had success, one more than other. Kawhi was much better with Toronto than he was LA, obviously. Kawhi won a freaking championship. And Paul George, he decided to stay in OKC, and he forced his way out again. They paid the consequences of being greedy. Oh my God, what a failure. What a failure. As a Bucks fan, I can say that a team had a worse playoff exit than us. Like, I know our playoffs was just completely disappointing, and I acknowledge that, but I knew going into that series that the Heat had a very good chance of winning it. This is entirely different. The Clippers definitely, their roster on paper is much better than the Nuggets. And they have two top 15 players in the league, and one of them is arguably the best player in the league, and the Nuggets have a fringe top 10 player, and then a fringe, or going into the playoffs, he was like a fringe top 40. Now he's for sure top 40. Jamal Murray has been amazing in the postseason, and the Clippers' depth was much better. The Nuggets just, oh my God. Like, they were up 3-1 and blew it. Like, that's much worse than just coming out and falling flat from the get-go like the Bucks did. And everyone expected the Clippers to win. They were the overwhelming favorites, probably to win the finals. I'm not 100% on that, but I'm pretty sure it was. Now, I'm going to hit you guys with some statistics really quick, and this I find hilarious. So Kawhi, for most of the playoffs, has been pretty good up until this past few games where he's just been very subpar. I'm just going to bring up the OKC Thunder for a second, and both of the trades they made in this past offseason where they traded Paul George to the Clippers and Russell Westbrook to the Houston Rockets, who got eliminated by the Lakers in 5, they got a player back that performed better in the postseason than the player that they traded away. So Paul George averaged 21 on 49% effective field goal percentage, shooting 41% from the field in the playoffs. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander averaged 16 on 51% effective field goal percentage, averaged 40% from 3, and 44% from the field. He was a much more efficient player, and you could argue Shai outperformed him. And then you head over to Russell Westbrook and Chris Paul. Chris Paul averaged 21 on 56% effective field goal percentage, on 37% from 3, and 49% from the field. Holy crap, that is amazing. And then Russell Westbrook averaged 18 on 45% 35% effective field goal percentage, 24% from three, and 42% from the field. Both of the guys that the Thunder got back for Paul George and Russell Westbrook performed better than Paul George and Russell Westbrook, and they also got back like 10 first-round picks. And they got Danilo Gallinari, who also was all right. But credit to Sam Presti, holy crap. But let's talk about this Clippers front office, because holy crap, you are screwed. You are in for a hell of an offseason. First and foremost, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George can leave in 2021. And after seeing this is not very inspiring. You really need to make changes, because this is a pathetic end to your season, similar to the Bucks. But this is entirely different because you gave up literally your entire future. The Bucks still have some assets to work with. The Clippers have absolutely nothing. And I mean nothing. Like, you can trade Shamet and you have like nothing else. They've leveraged their entire future for a roster that's completely underperformed, and they really can't make that many changes to it because they have no assets to move. So the Clippers 2020 free agents are this. They have Marcus Morris, who's a free agent. They have Montrezl Harrell, who's a free agent. And then they have Patrick Patterson, which isn't a big deal. And JaMychal Green has a player option, which he'll probably pick up. They're not going to be able to re-sign Harrell. That's like pretty much impossible because they're into the tax. They can't afford him. There's just no way. Especially after the year that he had, it's highly unlikely, and a team that has a lot of cap space like, I don't know, Charlotte can throw money at him. So he's probably gone. Marcus Morris, they can't use his bird rights because he was on a 1-year deal. So they have to sign him with cap space. So they're going to have to create some, and I don't know how that's going to happen. They traded their first-round pick this year for Marcus Morris, so they don't even have a first-round pick to trade this offseason to improve their roster. And they are in a tough spot. I'm expecting Shamet to probably be moved. Lou Williams also really underperformed this offseason. Patrick Beverley also wasn't very good. It's just the move that's probably most obviously going to happen is Doc Rivers getting fired. For very obvious reasons, blowing a 3-1 lead when you should be the overwhelming favorite is pathetic. It's pathetic. How do you let that happen? And Doc Rivers, he won a championship a decade ago. I think he's a very good coach, but he is not among the top end of the league. And he's shown that time and time again with this Clippers team, especially with the Lob City era, where they've just had so many disappointing playoff losses. I love those Lob City teams, and they just disappointed year after year, and Doc Rivers certainly was a culprit of that. And I don't know who they're going to go with. They could go with, I listed a ton of guys in the Bucks video, and because the Bucks aren't firing Budenholzer, so some people are going to be on the market. Like Mike D'Antoni is going to be on the market. I think they could maybe give him a look. You know, Ty Lue they could promote as an assistant. I think he wouldn't be that bad. Billy Donovan is available, and they do want to go for Chris Paul. You can get Billy Donovan. Dude, he failed with Paul George before. He just got bounced with Chris Paul. Both the Bucks and the Clippers next year are going to be called frauds for pretty much the entire year until they prove otherwise. But I think the Clippers are under a lot more pressure because they have so many things tied up to this current roster, including their entire future being leveraged to right now. They're in a really bad spot. Like, this isn't encouraging at all, especially for 2021 when Kawhi and PG can be free agents, and they probably will be because that's when the cap will probably be back to normal and they can sign for bigger max deals because I'm pretty sure both of them will be 10-year vets by then, so they can make more money. They can make like the Chris Paul max. They're going to want that. And I don't know if they're going to want to stay in LAC after this pathetic performance. I don't know what to say. This is just utterly sad. Now, because concerns with them going into the playoffs. I know the interior defense was a thing, and Jokic had his way in this series. He was fantastic. And Jamal Murray, what a performance he's put on in the playoffs, and I love watching him play. Their weaknesses showed up. They showed up, and especially in that fourth quarter. That fourth quarter was brutal to watch. It was just Denver dominating on both ends of the floor. The Clippers could not score at all. It was just, wow. Oh my God. I don't know where they go from here, because they obviously can't run it back the same way. And it's similar to the Bucks. They can't. I know I'm bringing up the Bucks a lot, but it's very similar in certain ways because they cannot run it back the same way. But they're a lot more limited than Milwaukee is, because they have so many guys, key guys that are going to leave probably, like Harrell and Morris. They can't re-sign them. And maybe they could get Harrell back, but he's going to want a lot of money. And I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. He wasn't that good in this Game 7 either. I mean, no one was. Steve Ballmer, you're going to have to do something. Jerry West has to do something. It's just, I'm very intrigued to see what happens. This offseason is going to be huge for specific teams like the Sixers, the Bucks, the Clippers, the Rockets. Those teams specifically are in a lot of trouble, and they need to do something fast about all their situation. But they're all in the same boat. They got to do something. They have so much they have to figure out, and the writing was on the wall. I was so confident in this roster. I love this team from the moment that they got Kawhi. I loved them last year. When they were that 8 seed, I had a tweet that I made, and it said, like, if this Clippers team just added Kawhi Leonard, they are a finals contender. And they added Kawhi and Paul George. So, of course, I would be ecstatic about that team. And they were my pick to win the finals, like, pretty immediately. And my God, the favorite out of each conference has been eliminated in the second round. And that's absolutely insane. I love the NBA. It's not fun for me specifically as a Bucks fan, but this crazy shit's happening. Lakers, Nuggets, that's going to be a great series. I'm expecting the Lakers to win it, but with how Denver's rolling, they're going to go down 3-1 again and come back, and then they'll do the same in the finals. And then Miami, Boston, Game 1 was insane. That's going to be a hell of a series. And my God, I am so excited. Thank you all for watching this video. Let me know what you guys think the Clippers need to do in the comments below, because they are in for a rough time. They're going to get slandered to hell and back. I mean, I've seen it all for the Bucks, but the Clippers are going to get it worse because they have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. And man, it's wow.